What is up? Just got done making some more tweaks on the homemade slender Frankenstein heat pump. So, and if you haven't seen the other videos, this was a mini VRF with 4 ports on it, and I acquired the cabinets, and the cabinets are just, I'm using them so I can free up over a foot of space to back my trailer in right here, just which barely gets by my cube units. I mean, by an inch, and I had to push the units over. So that's the reason for this. I gutted the VRF stuff out of it. There was something weird with them or something, I guess. That's the reason I got them. I just wanted the cabinets. So I utilized the fans and the fan inverter power module and everything else. I gutted out the rotary, put in a scroll, which I just got this insulation shoved around right now. And I have my own heat pump controller that I built. And I strapped a VFD, it's a 3-phase compressor, and it's a 2-speed basically, which is what my Lennox unit has been doing for the past 3 or 4 years. So it's hooked back up to that air handler, 410 system, R22 system still over here. So I was doing some changes on it. Finally had a chance with it warm enough to finish dialing into charge, because it was cold a week or 2 ago when I started this up, and just got it close. So now we got up to 79 today, and now it's back down to 73 or 74. Yeah, 77, what the Ecobee says. Yeah, so one of these thermometers, there's these two ones. This one we're going to read the temperature leaving. It's just an extra one I have. And the other air probe one is in the supply vent upstairs in my bedroom. And we're going to start this up and cooling for a few minutes, see what it does. But first, we'll break away. You'll see kind of what I was doing yesterday and had a couple little glitches with it. Came back out today and moved my circuit boards around and all that. And that's where we're at now. I actually started working on this yesterday just to kind of adjust the final charge, because it was warm enough yesterday to do that finally. It's like 75 to 79 out yesterday. I think it was like 75, 76 when I actually start working on it. Let's actually see what temperature it is. Yeah, 79 degrees right now at 4:30 p.m. So there was about the same case yesterday, and I got the charge dialed in, ran it heat and cool. Charged it in cooling, actually, get everything pretty close. Might put that clip in here in a second. And then the heating was perfect too. And that's what those capillary tubes that everybody mocked me for. Okay, only a couple people were concerned about it, but I've been liking capillary tubes. I got capillary tubes on that. Got capillary tubes running this instead of TXVs or EXVs, as I've successfully used. Go simple, and for heating, only needs to run a handful of times here in our climate. Anyway, I had a little issue yesterday. So this is the circuit board that I had in here, and it's been working fine for what has it been, a week or 2? No problems, heating just fine. But I put in this other one that I changed this bottom end on, like I now just did to this one too, because I had to move the wire and solder it on the day I started up. Plus I liked the buttons better on the other one, so I'll put that one in here. And then I had it was running, but it was glitching, and finally just had to give up. The sun went down, and I think I realized what happened is I'm thinking one of these connections is loose, or the solder joint to the capacitors on the back for the filtering. For the 24 volts AC turn to get rectified and cleaned up, and then to DC to hold on each optical isolator to bring on a logical input for Y1, Y2, O, for the reversing valve, which are all these connections right here. This one worked fine. You'll see I have the filter capacitors right here, diodes and resistors right there. So I think one of them is loose, and it was basically effectively, if you take away the filter capacitor, halfway rectified, it was basically turned into 60 inputs per second. I think it was loose when I was moving it, so I think that's what I'll find if I troubleshoot that later. But anyway, today I think I'm just going to put this board back in, troubleshoot that one. With this board, I went ahead while I had it out and changed this 2 position to a 3 position. I don't know why I had it made like that, but and then also changed these buttons to the surface mount ones. So also I think I might, if I have enough wires, I think while I'm in here I'm going to go ahead and move this board down here and probably put this back up there, which is where this originally was. That way when I make the second one of these, I won't have to move this. It'll just be where it belongs. Alright, just got the everything moved over, and I just put the 24 volt wire back on, which goes to the DC power supply, which powers up to 5 volts. That all booted up, so that's good. I need to put my sticker on here so I know what version of my program I have in here. This is version 4.0, which is the same one I dumped into that one. While this is out, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I'm kind of curious if one of these was loose. Oh, there it is. Son of a... Let's get your little focus more. Come on. There we go. Slow that. That's probably all that's wrong with that. And the reason I didn't catch that being a bad solder joint or loose from handling it when I was testing up my bench inside is because I sent DC power into this from a DC power supply, which just goes right through the rectifier and powers the optical isolators to make the logical inputs just the same, except you won't catch if your, filter capacitor is loose, which messes up if you're feeding AC into there. As I said, the AC voltage that filter capacitor turns into 60 pulses per second instead of one steady pulse going to the optical isolator. So, yeah, that's cool. So I need to put the high voltage on now. Well, I am always paranoid when it comes to the high voltage. So, high voltage comes down. This is the reversing valve. One leg goes that way, one leg goes through the reversing valve relay, which is right here. And the normally closed side, it turns out, since that is a heat active valve, and I programmed it for the other way around. And then the other legs of high voltage is these. Well, this is it's not hooked up. I almost turned on the power. I got 2 wires laying in here loose somewhere. Where are they? There they are. That would have been bad. Man, that was close. You guys almost got to see kaboom, like you did 2 years ago. Oh, look at that. This doesn't want to stick there because of that. It's jinxed. My LCD cable goes up there. Kind of let it hang here so it doesn't get any interference. So high voltage right here. These 2 legs, brown and red. Brown and red, then brown and yellow is my powering the reversing valve. There's 2 other power legs all right here. Those go down to the crankcase heater. So now it should be ready for high voltage. Man, those 2 are laying right here, close to this and close to the metal. Either way, it probably, if I would have moved something, it would have went kaboom. Shit. Should I be recording when I'm putting in this power just in case? One more time. High voltage here, which I didn't disconnect. High voltage here. And the other high voltage goes over the reverse valve, and that should be it for high voltage. Shit. So most of the shit's back to the original locations. Oh my goodness! This is always the part you go, no, dummy. I hear the reverse valve click if they're normally closed. I see power on that, and I see pretty LEDs on that. And why that's starting? Oh, because this one has the other fan speed. I don't know why it's at 117. I got to check into that. Huh. But otherwise, that'd be normal. What's my minimum set for? I might have left it. Oh, I was testing on this program, Lord. So go to menu. Fan speed minimum 117. Yeah, that's why. Nothing's wrong. It's just that. In my programs, whenever the fan stops, it just goes to F minimum. So this one has the updated resistor in the divider there, so I think this needs to go down to something like 65 for this to be down at the threshold of where the fan motor stops. So come on. Yeah. So a lot of my programs, I do utilize the EEPROMs inside here. So we're going to do this, we're going to do this, get out of there, and we're going to save that shit. Yeah. Now I think the maximum though, what was my max set? It's 170. Okay. No. So the reason it does that little glitch is because in the program, fans are stopping now. I have it do send out like this LCD initialize and everything. That's kind of a get out of jail free card in case I do something like unplug the LCD or something happens to it. Okay, so I have these on, and I did test it just briefly to make sure it started. Turn that back off, so that's all off. We'll just do it by the Ecobee now. So we need to go to cooling to start. It's going to switch modes. Come on. And we're going to kick it way down so it goes to second stage, which will run the thing at full 60 hertz instead of 40 hertz. And we'll see what the pressures are like. And there she already goes. It switched, went on, and then I went to cooling high. Fans are not running because I have a thermistor plugged in. So liquid line 76, and I think a little 87 or somewhere, and I forget where it was I set it for, but it's going to start kicking on the fans and speeding up. Fan speed says 65. That's because that's the minimum pulse width modulation I got programmed into. That's an 8-bit value, 0 to 255, so 65. It's pulsing this optical isolator filter, goes through this. I got to be careful. This is high voltage DC on this side coming from the IPM, and then you just have the 15 volt supply to this circuit I made right here, and then the voltage going back to run it. So liquid line's getting warm enough that the fan speed algorithm's kicking up, so these should start rocking here once that pulse width modulation gets high enough. And you see it's jumping way up on the pressure, 450, and there they go. I did tweak a little bit more with the program on that, so see if that catches it without having to jump to full speed. The liquid line gets up to, I forget what I put it to, like 117 or something like that. It just shoots up to full speed pulse width modulation. But I kind of doctored with that yesterday in my program. And you see the pressure's already dropping. Pressure's dropping, liquid line temperatures start dropping, and then it'll start backing off that pulse width modulation. So I might have to play with that a little bit to keep it from hunting or whatever. Of course, when it gets to summertime, it's just going to run. Right now is when it comes to where I do any hunting. And I feel warm air coming out of there already. So 378 over 111 is dialing in. Whichever one is the outlet should be obvious. 77. Oh, you know what? This probe, I don't think is reading on here. Nope. At least not right. Let's see here. There's one that's 96. I know which ones are my... Oh, that's a glitch with Testo. You need to fix this. We're on tablets. I cannot see the small numbers. The little numbers here in the menus do not increase. So I can't hardly see which device each one of those is. All this menu is too small for me to hardly see without my glasses on. It sucks. So this will start dialing in. Fan speed's still kind of maxed out. Liquid line's 99. And what I did yesterday was I kind of manually got in there and limited the fan speed a little bit just to drive up the pressures. Last night anyway. Got about a 3-to-1 compression ratio. Usually want to have at least that, so we're close. And it's like, outside air temp is probably this one. What device number is that? This one here is device 746. I have two of the same things on there, man. So this bottom one is that 746? I need glasses on. Yep. This must be the one that's upstairs in the return vent. Doesn't want to focus on. Oh, 58. You can tell how much older that serial number is. This one here I acquired a lot newer. So. And then my supply vent is 57. So we're running 77, 57, about 20 degree split. Subcooling. I think I only got up to 8 or 9 degrees yesterday and then stopped there. See my superheat's correcting. Got a 54 degree line. Suction pressure is running 39. So we're good on the cooling. We'll run in another couple more minutes. I guess it was reading. It must be the one that says 86. Now this other one's reading 86 that I moved it. It just feels way down. Maybe 86 degrees just feels that one. Get this one back over here. Now my log's gonna be all jacked. Move this one over here. See if it's Get the temperature, see if it changes at all. No, it's gone up a little bit, 87. I lost one upstairs. If I move around this thing, the Bluetooth cuts in and out, so I just lost the, it's coming back. Supply 56, 77 on the thermostat, 76 upstairs. So, yep, right around 20 degree split. I'm gonna keep losing that one. 315 over 120, basically. I hope this video is turning out okay. Seems good. This is the board that worked for a couple weeks, no problem. No problem. While we let that run, I'll show you again here. Get my glasses on. Electronics glasses. Can't believe I did that. So this should be the board from my other unit when I replace this one, because I have another one of these cabinets, and I just got to solder this on. So I might actually test this on my bench when I get a chance. I got a 24 volt power supply and use it, and I guarantee it wigs it. And the reason it was wigging out so bad is I'm using interrupts to detect change on ports, right? Change on bit ports, port bits, whatever you want to say. So anytime there's a change in the port that's monitoring these three buttons or these three inputs, which is Y1, Y2, and O, is that it interrupts whatever it's doing, and it jumps to the interrupt service routine and has to go to a function or subroutine, if you guys want to call it that, and then go check to see, all right, what's my inputs doing or whatever, and see what changed, to change modes or to know it pushed a button. And then so basically, if this capacitor is loose, instead of having a change just whenever, which one's that one on? Right there. That was Y1. So whenever, instead of a change, this when Y1 goes on or off, you know, as being a change and running that service routine, it was doing it 60 times a freaking second, and that capacitor was lifting off that solder joint. And that's why it was just scrambling the LCD, and this thing was wigging out, and then I would kind of like wiggle around it and it would work fine for a while. It's like, what the hell? So, now, just been running a few more minutes. And it's cooling off out here now. The sun's going down. It goes down quick still, so 79. Oh man, come on. Is that the outside temperature back here? It's probably recirculating just a little bit or something. I'll put that. 55 coming out the vent. 76 still in the return vent. This is actually shoved in the return vent. So that's an actual 20-21 degree split now. And 93 degrees leaving here. Let's see if this fan's maxed out. Again, just going through my menu. Here. I can glasses on, make sure this thing's focused. Pushing the button down here, I could kind of look through different things. I could change the interval for my defrost. 90 minutes of default. Change my defrost set point. Ooh, I thought I had that pretty low, but defrost terminating point. So I could say, you know, it has to be, you know, 65 degrees, right, before it terminates. My frequency minimum for my, this is my duty cycle. The minimum max is for the output for the fan. So it's 65 and then 170 right now. And the fan's running pretty quick. So right now I can change that fan faster. We'll change it to like 190. And we'll get a good grip on this in the summertime when it gets hot, and what I'll probably do is set it and see where I get diminishing returns, you know, where it doesn't really change the pressure much anymore, and where, you know, I'm just pulling more amps. Because when I crank these things up before, they actually, current is way high. So save, that's locked in the EEPROM. So if I take the power off and back on, it's going to remember that. See now, because I'm above, you know, the range, I have it modulating, it's still increasing speed, so this fan's actually speeding up now a little bit. That's probably about right, because there's two fans. I mean, it's blowing air pretty decent, but the thing is, you're used to how much blows out of one fan that size, and there's only a 3-ton unit. It's actually got two of them. So, and I'm sure the pressure's tanking. Oh yeah, see that? Down there. It went, it's dropping like a rock. And if it drops too much in the liquid line temperature, I might have to program that a little higher than I thought. And I didn't put it in where I could program it out here. I could actually go and program it in the code and then update it, which I could do, and just take my programmer out here and plug it in right here. Just drop in the new program, change it to version 5.0 or something, right? So it started to drop, 92, 93. You notice the defrost and the liquid one kind of track, because right now they're both warm. The defrost one, I just have thermistor. Oh, where am I at? 1X. I have a thermistor just shoved in the coil. I like to shove them in the coil. The liquid one's in this little well that's actually came in the unit. I just shoved in there. That's the one that's modulating the outdoor fan and cooling. The defrost one's used for in the winter. And that's the air temperature also one will lock it out when it's too warm. So I'd probably have to pull this off and put a resistor on there to even test my defrost. So it's too warm for that. I think I have to cut off at 50, 55, something like that. It's not warm, obviously it's not going to be freezing up. So I'm guessing, yeah, look how that's tanking. It's not even near 3 to 1 anymore. It's still cooling good. Yeah, 54.6, 75.9. So basically 76 and almost 55. So 21 degrees split. It's blowing out 93 degrees out here. We're going to see that in cold air here in a few minutes. So what you're going to do now is we're going to go to this. Oops. First I'm going to hit cancel. And you see it's going to stop. There goes that interrupt on change. Just said standby. Stop, delay on break. Got a minute there. Really only need a minute because I'm running a 3-phase variable frequency drive unit. So fan stopped. Just taking down that delay on break. I don't know what the hell I'm hearing out there by somebody. So we'll change the mode to off. And I'm just going to wait over 5 minutes. It's 5:53 p.m. It's about 6 o'clock or so. I'll come change the mode to heat. And we'll watch this unit heat for a few minutes, and we should be able to get this recorded just before, if I don't fall, just before the freaking sun goes down. That's what it did to me yesterday. While we wait for that 5-minute delay, I do have a bunch of junk in this backyard. The wife hates it. But this thing, the old Can-Am. Yeah, that's got to pull through there, and it's a chore getting by those two things. And then this is the one I've been running for 3 or 4 years. It's got the variable frequency drive in it with the same exact compressor, same drive, same compressor. It's still in there. Can't see the fan parked in the wrong spot, but this is the one that was a straight cool. Feast your eyes on that model number, look it up. And I added the reversing valve. Repiped it and everything. Reverser valve, TXV, check valve, all that. Yeah, it's not gonna focus. I have no idea what the hell that is. It's literally a dude. I figure, what the hell is in the background? I thought maybe it was me preaching or something to the people here, but it's like old cartoon music or something. I don't know. What the hell is it saying? Also, what the fuck? Traigo caldras, novias, cuernos. ¿Qué pasó, Mercencita? ¿Va a ser feliz, no? Ándele pues, Mercencita, tome, le traigo corbatas, volcanes, piedras, viudas, rejas, un abrazo, ¿no? Pero se va. Panadero que va. Panadero que va. Instead of the ice cream man, she's selling pastries and stuff. I guess I'll let that slide. Well, that was a first. Oh, look at this. The grandkid, he broke the window on his F-150. Oh, and this window too now. Oh no, he broke that one. What is he doing? Is he driving rough? Oh, okay, it went back on. But he must have been in it today. But look, this thing actually has doors that, how did it work? It opens. And what happened? Push the button and it actually opens. It actually has a latch on it. So this has a electronic drive motor. It's not just a jerk like the old ones. Anyway, has it been 5 minutes yet? Turn all Cleater off. Just watching the Cletus McFarlane YouTube channel. Okay, 5:59 is probably about almost that time. What was that other thing I had up here? See what the temperature. 77 it says. That's gonna be dropping like a rock. But feast you guys' eyes on this. I can't see what it was earlier, but the high temperature, it says it was 80 yesterday, 80 today. They keep changing it to a little warmer than it was. Tomorrow 79. Oh, cool. This is a pretty good tablet. People do ask sometimes what it is. It's like a Samsung 8 Plus or something like that. Tab 8 Plus or whatever. It's the faster one. It's a pretty big screen, about a 11 inch or something. Maybe a 12. I don't know. Maybe it's a 13. And it's on Verizon. So it's got internet, 5G. All the time. Oh, this ain't recording. It's recording now. Alright, we'll record the heating one. So, I'm already there, I'm thinking. So, we'll go to heat. And we're going to crank this puppy up. And I probably won't run it too long in heat because, well, for one, that's all it's going to let me change it to. It's that warm inside. I cooled it off with the AC. And pressures might be kind of up there a little bit. So, waiting for it to do its thing. You should see this thing turn red. There's a little delay sometimes. Oh, this has already got it. So on high heat, fans are immediately going on. Fan max run speed. See, because it's I have to focus, or now I'm having to zoom in a little bit more to see the LCD because it's kind of getting darker out here. That it has the walk up, got the wash out like that. But back up a little bit, okay. So this thing here, like I said, is sending a pulse width, which is taking the 15 volts from here and just reducing it, attenuating it, pulse width modulation to go back to the input, and that's how these fans work. I could do that with pretty much any. I could do that to that fan that has the inverter power module built into the motor. Or I could do it on these types, which take it here, kind of work the same. And most brands of like VRF, mini split stuff, works like that. If it's got an external, that type of motor or module. You get the big VRFs, then no, it's all communication. I can't interface with that. Or I would have interfaced with what was in here. Of course, there was probably something wrong with what was in here. I mean, rudely interrupted by that freaking. What the hell, man? Come on, lady. So this should be measuring cold air now. Hope I don't get copyrighted for whatever that music is playing. 72 outside temperature. I wish I could relabel these. 92 is my supply inside and climbing. 76.5 is what the return air is. And 71 and dropping is this thing. And I think this is just a little slow because it feels cooler than that. It definitely feels like refrigerated air. So it's nice. Kind of thing. Look at these. Oh, you can see the liquid line temperature right there. So that defrost sensor is in the coil about 51 revs, but the liquid line temperature, which is not, it's not in the same spot as liquid would be for cooling, but it's reading for design. Outside air temperature 72. Is that actually pretty close? It is pretty close. So that's just a little thermistor that's just hanging in the original sensor back there. So these are my sensors, inputs right here, which are these right here. Now this board I did not make myself as far as physically, like I do on my little mill in there where I etch them or CNC them or whatever. But this is a design I made, and then I just had the company make it. And they put on the common parts they had in stock, which was the microprocessor 16F887 for microchip. Most of these connectors, not this blue one here, and the relays they put on there, all these transistors, resistors, diodes, and most of the connectors, they did not have. Sometimes after you get done like laying it out, if you find out they don't have the parts in stock, it's like, oh man, and it's real hard to like change it afterwards in the software, and I'm not that familiar with how to do that, so I just leave them off and just put the parts on myself. So optical isolators I put on, these buttons I put on, and actually this connector, it was a 2-position connector I had them put on like this, but I changed it because I needed a 3. I had to remap my reverse valve. It's pretty cool, but basically the way it works, I'm just going to go over this real quick while that balances out, but it's like, here, these are 24-volt AC inputs. You got common, Y1, Y2, O, and what they do is they just go through the resistor, current limiting resistor, and then a diode, and then it's filtered with capacitors, which I forgot to add. I put them on their back. And so basically it becomes an AC voltage, becomes a DC steady current through an optical isolator, which is, think of an LED, you're just powering it up, and then so it's isolated, and then I got transistor output that's just it's a pull down style. Pull up resistors are built into the processor, which you activate the software in the program, and then so basically when one of these goes on, it pulls it down for a logic, so to a logical 0. So in my program, it's like a logical 0 is when it's active from the thermostat. Otherwise, it's a logical 1 by default. You just have to remember that when you're programming it. And then these are just digital outputs here, logical outputs, transistor networks, you have to drive each relay coil. So I got my VFD plugs in right here, compressor VFD, so it's 2 speeds, D1, speed 1, speed 2, going to digital input 1 and 2 on the VFD. That works perfectly. And then this is high voltage on this relay here to switch the reversing valve. Voltage divider network. This came out really nice, for my thermistors. This is just DC input. This is where I program this thing, and this is my data output, which is using I2C, or whatever you call it. Which is why I have the little I2C data board is going from that to 8-bit. To run the LCDs that you can get cheap down to those and stuff. Alright, so this feels colder and colder. Let's get a final reading. 392, 125, because it's kind of warm out. 16 degrees superheat, 18 subcooling. Can't really go by that in heating mode as much. But you can see those capillary tubes that I put in there. Some people kind of gave me the stink eye for that. They're working perfectly. I had a TXV in the Lennox one, but because this is technically 2 1.5 ton coil circuits, I made 2 capillary circuits. It splits off the liquid line and goes to 2 of them that I dialed in for, 1.5 tons basically, or 9,000 BTUs per capillary tube, so there's 4 of them. And it works perfect. Just for heating, there's no reason to have a thermal expansion valve that's eventually going to fail, probably. No reason for that shit. Ghetto used to use capillary tubes between the 2 coils, and they never failed. They lasted for like decades and decades. So that's all good. And then now, so my 77.8 inside is warming up with it blowing 106 degrees out the vent. So what is that coming out to? It's about almost 30 degrees, because right now we're in the warmer time. And then out here, 62.7 out the front, and 70.8 for the return. So 70.8 over there, 62.7 here. Feels mighty cold. So she's making good heat. I didn't put one on the hot gas line, but I'm sure it's pretty hot. And what do you do? Oh, it is running on 2-stage. I couldn't remember if I had my thing set up for 2-stage. And on the commercial side, a lot of stuff doesn't use low speed heat. I guess I do have mine on those, not 2-stage. I couldn't remember how I programmed it. Oh, I do have a 2-stage. Somebody was asking me the other day about a defrost, and maybe I'll put it on the screen here. But actually, in my defrost subroutine, I already did have it go to high speed. high-speed cool without the fan to just melt that ice. So this, you see the compression ratios dropping a little bit, but this might not tank. Actually, look at that, discharge is going up a little bit because the fan speed slowed down up there. So we're on low speed. Let's see what the supply pin does. Oh, it just satisfied, I think. You jerk. Yep, standby. It's gonna. This is delayed. It's gonna show me that it went off. So stop this. Let's save it. Look at this. Come on, Testo. I gotta tag them in this, man. Guys, gotta do the software. See, this zooms, but none of the menus zoom. So that stays small. Let me first save it before I leave. Can attach an image. Shit, really? Okay. There's an image in there. Save. This is probably how I have to save CSV. That's how you do it. Start, export, add images. I don't know. I'll just save it to this folder. I think that's what that means. So I think we're saved. Now we can back out. I just want to show you guys that these menus in Testo, they're small. They stay small. They don't see. And in the settings, I didn't see anything that changed that. So if somebody knows of a setting that'll help out on larger devices. All right, well, I need to take off my gauges. You can see, well, the camera's doing a good job adjusting, but it's actually getting dark. Sun's going down. So I need to get done. I need to get this stuff on hooks, throw the panel on. This is kind of the scuffed panel. I said I had other ones. Oh, it's not that bad, but at some point I'm going to take and cut a hole. I think I put a clear window so I can walk up and just look at this display through the front. You know, that'll be kind of cool. Okay, we're in the laboratory. Kind of got this all just hooked up here, and right now I have it hooked up how I was testing the other day. So we're going to turn on the power. Just going to put on the USB power to power this up. Oscilloscope's hooked up to this little optical isolator, which is Y1. So look at the voltage applied, which can be pretty small. That's generated from the input resistor, 10K looks like, you know, and the rectifier diode, you know, in there. And then we're going to turn on the output, which is going to turn on 10 volts, which is what I was just using or whatever. Pretty low voltage. Really, it should be higher than that. Let's shoot it for like 20, because it's going to be closer to 30 when it's rectified, you know, from the 24 volts. Get a little better signal here. So that's going to positive. Got a delay on break. We'll escape that with my little secret. Changes to 5 seconds, and then we'll finish the delay on break. And it's going to click on. And this says cooling low. Right, everything's fine. I can, you know, nothing's wrong. And right now, still, the capacitor is broken off that pin. But I didn't catch it. Didn't catch it the other day because I was using DC power. It didn't matter. I was just testing the inputs. It just converts over to a logical input anyway. So I didn't catch it. And we'll turn this off. That voltage will drop. And then it went to a logical off. No harm, no foul. So now let's connect AC power up. Let me unhook a few things and hook the AC up, and we'll hook it up to my little switch box. Okay, so you got 24 volts from a little plug-in transformer. AC power hooked up here. And then you got the fused hot going into here. And then first stage, second stage, reversing valve. Okay, I got a couple things hooked up. So my O terminal with the 24 volts AC is going in, and then we're going to pick up what it turns into DC here, on here, and here. Now there's a little bit of high frequency noise. Always get around here with the scope. Kind of weird, but you know, reversing valve. So you see the DC went up pretty steady, and then you see the 60 hertz, 24 volts going in. So you got about a volt there, right? So take note of how that looks. And I'm going to move this one over to this Y1 that has the capacitor broken loose off of it. think I got that kind of wedged in there. And watch this freaking wave clipper. And I didn't have the show you the 24 volts of that, and that just wigs this thing out. And the reason it's wigging out sometimes, and yesterday when this was in the unit, it was just barely cracked. The capacitor wasn't totally moved away, so it was intermittent, but you can see it's not filtering the AC. So what that now is a logical input on off 60 damn times a second. And this thing was wigging out yesterday because I'm using interrupt subroutine. So basically right here I just have my interrupt function down here, and yeah, turn this thing off, it's gonna drive me nuts. So if I get a port B interrupt flag, we're gonna go check my inputs. I'm gonna go up to this function way up here in my program to check the inputs. And the way that works is then anytime there's a change on that port with the bits on that port that I'm watching, it's going to go here and look at the, I have my modes, last mode and everything, so I'm going to see kind of what the modes are. So remember I said I'm using weak pull-ups inside the processor, so I have to use resistors to pull up or pull down. So in the normal state, it's going to be a logical 1, and then when I activate it with an input, it's going to be a logical 0. So, if anytime a Y1 is a logical 1, that means nothing's turned on. It's always going to be mode 0. So, and if Y1 in reverse valve volume, it's mode 1 cooling, or if it's Y1 without the reversing valve, it's going to be heating mode. If it's Y2, then that's off. Remember, it's backwards, and then on, it's gonna be speed 0, 1. And button 3 is just another one from my menu, and I got some other stuff. So basically what's happening is it's doing my it's running all these things. I could be reading my thermistors, which is doing like every second or so. I could be reading, running my menus if I go into my menu, but it could be, say we're in the cool function, or heat, defrost, compressor safety, all that stuff. So could be in the middle of the cool one, and but it's trying to go through this like every second or so, but 60 times a second it's being interrupted to go to the check inputs. So that's that's what's causing that. So I should have turned on my soldering iron so I was ready, but we'll solder that capacitor on, and then we'll recheck that, and that's going to be fixed. Alright, got it ready to go. Reversal valve's on, so we're looking at that AC input over here, but now we're checking the Y1 at the optical isolator. Should be a smooth transition with the yellow going up. There it goes. No more, rectified, pulses with that weren't being filtered out like we just saw a second ago. So this should be all steady now. Oops, I just had this on a second ago. Let's get rid of the delay and break. And you see this is also up to about 1.06 volts like the other one was that was working. So now there's not going to be any issues. Circuit board's going to work fine. So that was it. So this second board I just had a cold solder joint on that capacitor right there. Now this was supposed to have capacitors on the board, and I left them off in my project, and so of course when I had it made, the filter capacitors weren't there, and that was an instant problem because every input was causing 60 interrupts a second I didn't need. So scrambling its brains. So we're good now. So this will be the board for the other unit now. And here's another like board. I repurposed it a little bit because this is going to eventually replace all that junk up there from my solar powered, battery powered water heater heat pump thing that I got. So I did hack some other parts on here, and I can't remember what I was doing because I left this sitting for months, but I had to basically alter what some of the inputs were going to be with some of the spare pins or whatever. But this actually worked. It should be pretty much ready to go. I just repurposed it and put stickers on here. So this will be compressor on, off, and then pump low and pump high out of this stuff. It should work. Anyway, should be good to go now. Till next time, catch you later. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Catch you later.